Welcome back, everybody. Here we are, week number 13. This is going to be a mid-summer showdown and midweek check-in / predictions for the rest of the week, because we have a pretty insane summer showdown going down in the Western region. Like, it's really tightly contested. So we're going to get into that. As you can see, we have a lot of 3 in Overwatch this week. Atlanta mopping up Spitfire. Boston had a huge upset win, 3-0 over Outlaws. The Spark took down Excel in a close one, 3-2. Chengdu Hunters edged Philadelphia Fusion, 3-2. And then Shanghai obliterated Valiant 3-0. And Justice took down London quite easily at 3-0. So now London have completed their third leg of the season, sitting at 0-12, as well as the Vancouver Titans. 3 teams that had 0-4 stages this time around. Florida, where obviously have won before, but they went 0-4 in the summer showdown, so rough times for them. But as you can see, the Gladiators are currently facing off against Toronto. Looks like they're on the first map. I'm going to go through predictions real quick, and then we're going to talk about the standings a little bit because it's really close. So Gladiators in essentially a must-win against Toronto. If they lose this, they are done out of the running for the knockouts of the Summer Showdown. For Toronto, if they lose, they're going to be in danger, but if they win, they're basically in. So big match for both teams. I got Glads taking it 3-1. They've looked really solid lately. Their collapse against Paris set aside. Paris has proven themselves as a very good team in this meta, so I like Gladiators. I think that they're really good at running the Reinhardt comps. I think that their Winston play is also pretty solid if they need to. And double when it comes to double shield, space is really good. So I think they're a very well-rounded team. They've had this pretty big rotation of players. They're 3 DPS, Moth versus Skewed, all that stuff. So, like I said, I like both these teams, both solid, but I do think Gladiators are a bit better. They're a bit more desperate. They're going to be looking to bounce back from that loss against Paris, because if they don't get reverse swept there, they're in really good shape to make the knockouts. But now they got to win both of their last 2. And then we got the Dallas Fuel taking on Houston Outlaws. Once again, Battle for Texas feels like the fifth, 6th time this season already. These guys just keep playing each other. Houston won the first time, but Dallas has gotten the better of them the last few times in a row, especially in the knockout qualifiers. So neither of these teams are in. Houston's actually on the outside looking in right now. Dallas is in, but they've only played 2 matches, so depending on maps, if they go 1-1, they could potentially get ousted. If they go 0-2, they're not making it. If they go 2-0, they're definitely in. If they go 1-1, they're probably in. So again, really important match for both teams. Houston coming off of a loss to Boston. They just didn't quite know what to do with the dive. The dive really kind of stumped them. For Outlaws, it feels like a flexibility issue in this meta. This is a very fluid meta. We've seen week to week, match to match, the different teams, they each have their own little strategies and takes, on what's good right now. And it looks like Houston, they're really comfortable with the double shield compositions, but outside of those, they're looking pretty rough. Like they didn't even try to really match the dive from Boston, which means that they had no faith in, their dive, or they didn't practice it. Maybe they were just looking forward to this match and they underestimated them, but either way, pretty rough look for Outlaws. I'm going to go with Dallas here. I'd like to go for an upset here, but I just don't think it's going to happen. Dallas is kind of rolling right now. Little shaky game against Florida, but this is a very, very, fluid team that can adapt on the fly. That's been one of the main things that I've really liked about them, and this is a meta that definitely needs that. You're going to have a leg up if that is the case. So I got Dallas taking down Houston in pretty quick fashion. Then you got the New York Excel taking on Philly Fusion. So Philadelphia, good start to Summer Showdown. Then they got smacked by Shanghai, and then they just lost a heartbreaker to the Hunters. So they're in trouble again. They could potentially not make another tournament. New York, similar thing, just lost a very close one to the Spark, so they really need a win here. I'm gonna go Fusion 3-1. Again, these are two talented but inconsistent teams. I think that it's gonna be entertaining. I think we're gonna see some weird stuff go on. But I do like Philly a little bit more in the end. Definitely gonna go back and watch that one though, because I think that one's gonna be pretty wildly entertaining. And we got Hunters, who are suddenly, with another win, they're in really good shape to make the knockouts for the Eastern region against Valiant, who have been, of course, pitiful and are one of the 3 teams in the league that are without a win. They're 0-11. I don't see them getting a win here. They haven't shown much improvement. And really, I think it's going to be easy for the Hunters. Not much to say here. I feel bad for the Valiant players because it's rough. Side note, since there are a lot of winless teams this year, we've seen some. I've been seeing this more and more online where people are like, "Oh man, like our Valiant, our Vancouver and London, like, oh man, are they as bad as Shanghai was in season 1 when they went 0-40?" And the answer to that question is no. Hell no. If these teams played that Shanghai team, these teams would, any of the 3, Valiant, Titans, or Spitfire, they would dominate. They would absolutely dominate that old Shanghai team. The play of every, of all the teams has been raised significantly since season 1. So not a fair comparison. I think Valiant, that's truly pitiful. Like, I feel like of the winless teams, they've been the one where it's like, there's just no redeeming quality. It's just all bad. At least Vancouver has had a couple of moments, and the Spitfire have had a couple of moments. You're like, okay, this is why some of these players, are in the league. Of course, overall their coordination has been real bad. And alt usage and adapting and everything that comes along with being a professional team, they aren't good at. But they would still absolutely take that 0-40 Shanghai team out back and just whip them. I think there's a lot of GM teams that are a couple of duos and maybe a random or two that could beat, like 4,200 games that could probably beat that old Shanghai team. So level of play just across the board has gone way up. So I don't think that's a fair comparison. But anyway, we have New Shanghai, who is obviously not 0-40. They are really, really good. Taking on Spark. Spark, they've looked really solid lately, but Shanghai's definitely still better. They're basically head and shoulders. They're just so far above the rest of the East right now that I think that they just absolutely roll. Even Spark, I think they probably 3-0 them. They got to be getting bored at this point. They're like, all right, are we gonna face Dallas again, or who do we get in the who are we gonna get in the summer showdown from NA, because they don't have much competition, honestly. Next, we've got Atlanta Reign taking on Boston. So this is a very interesting one because these are two teams that have looked great. Think it's going to be very close, but I like Atlanta here, 3-2. Again, I really like what Boston's been doing. But their dive style, with the Genji, with Nano Boost, Tracer, Winston, and Diva, of course. I think the comps that Atlanta likes to run are a little better. I think that they're going to get more value out of them consistently, and they're going to win more neutral fights. Boston really has to rely, on getting those nano blades and getting those team wipes. And then staying aggressive, once they get point control or lockdown, get a team stopped on 2CP, get the payload really rolling. Whatever it is, they really thrive on that. And Atlanta is also an aggressive team, so I think that that's going to favor Atlanta a little bit. The worst thing you can do when you're playing an aggressive dive team is just really kind of sit back, sit in chokes, not make decisions on, concisely and as a team. But I think Atlanta's pretty good at this. It's Houston a lot of times in that match. They just kind of sat around like in a choke point, or they just kind of like took their time trying to get into position, and then Boston really got aggressive there and had an advantage in team fights. So I don't think that's going to work as well on Atlanta. I think they're a team pretty well suited to take on Boston. So in a close one, I do like the Reign. Toronto Defiant then take on the Dallas Fuel. So depending on the matches go today, this could, this is a make or break match for one or both of these teams. So I think we're gonna get a pretty competitive one. I do like the Fuel though. This is a hard team to bet against. There's a couple of teams in NA that I'm very curious to see them play, when it gets to the knockouts. But, Toronto is, they've had some strides. They're on a two-game winning streak. And, they do some stuff well. Sato has been really good. I like Hisu a lot. Aspire has been a great pickup. But I do like Dallas still overall, and I think they win probably 3-1. And then you got Washington Justice, who, after a rough start to the Summer Showdown, have been resurgent, getting a couple of wins in a row, taking on Gladiators. I like Gladiators in this one. I'll say it goes to 5. Super entertaining. Justice starting, they're starting to roll, starting to get some momentum. But again, they're a little more limited. When they pull out the Reinhardt comps, it looks real bad. And I think Gladiators can throw a little bit of everything at them. And over the course, of a pretty long series, I think that, Justice are going to have a map or two that they look really, really, really good on. But then the other ones, Gladiators are going to have a pretty big advantage in neutral fights, and just compositionally. They're going to, be able to let the game come to them. And like I said, I think it's really close, but I think that, these brawly comps have been gaining a lot of traction on the control maps, and I think that, if they're forced into that, Gladiators have a big advantage, so I think they'll win both the control maps and find a way to take one of the other ones and get themselves another victory there. But we have a ton of really good matchups. Like, all the matches tomorrow for NA should be awesome. Even today, Battle for Texas should be great. I'm sure Gladiators and Defiant are having a nice battle right now, so yeah, it's gonna come down to it. As you can see, it's 8 teams fighting for 6 spots. The Shock are 8th right now, but they are eliminated. There's no way that they make it. There's going to be enough teams that have 3 wins or have 2 with a better map differential. So you got Gladiators who really need 2 wins. Outlaws who really need to beat Fuel. As I said, Fuel who really, they need at least 1. And then pretty much same thing for Justice. They beat Gladiators, they're in. They lose to Gladiators, they're very, very likely out. And it's a similar thing for Toronto, currently against Gladiators. So pretty awesome. I'm very, and obviously Paris is already locked in at 3-1. Boston also, +8 at 3-0. They could get swept their next match and they'll still be in really good shape. So it's going to be super entertaining. To see how it plays out. As you can see in the East, it's Excel or Fusion, the winner of their next match, assuming Spark gets pretty much destroyed by Shanghai, winner of that match is going to sneak in. Unless Chengdu lays an egg against Valiant, but I don't see that happening. So, got a couple of spots up for grabs in the East as well. So, got a great couple of matches, Oh yeah, as we can see, Gladiators are up 1-0 on Toronto right now, but doesn't mean anything. Just means Gladiators took the first one. So without further ado, that is it. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for being understanding. My schedule has been very, very, very crazy. Lately, it's going to return to more normalcy next week, which is great. So look for earlier uploads, all that stuff. Look for me to actually get my pick'ems in, which a couple videos ago when I did them, I forgot to save them, and so that was a wash. But yeah, I'm very excited as we near the end of the qualifiers. It's going to be great to see the knockouts go down. So yeah, as always, thank you very much for watching. I hope you have yourselves a wonderful day and weekend.